Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between and around. Welcome to an Alarum and Friends Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I am your host and GM, Alarum. Today I am joined by...
I am Bentley, and I'm playing Paelryon, the dragon thing.
Last we left off with you. This was at the end of session 1. Now,
Yes.
do you remember just a small little recap from your perspective on what happened during that and towards the latter end of that session?
Yeah, so we went to fight the great big black beast. It didn't go over well. I think we died, technically, or like we almost died. And then we signed a contract with some shady people. I forgot their name, though. Did they have a name?
Yes, so it was the Archons of Eternal Darkness.
That's right. Yep.
And more specifically, towards the end of that session, one of the Archons you were finding yourself shaking hands with as we faded to black, most specifically the Green Archon, which is where we will start this solo session. The scene before you was a long table and a great many spotlights of 5 varying colors, that being orange, green, pink, purple, and blue. Now, each of these spotlights had a person underneath them, but in addition to those people, you'll also remember that your party was there. And as you shake the Green Archon's hand, all the spotlights will turn off. And then, but a moment later, you find one spotlight comes back on, the green spotlight, and you find yourself at the end of the opposite end of a very small wooden table, faced across from the Green Archon.
Okay.
Now, I believe we have some things to discuss. You are curious. Your friends were a fortunate circumstance for them. But you I'm quite interested in. Tell me, what are you?
I don't really know what I am entirely. I had something bad happen to me, and I've just been trying to get by as best as I can.
Well, it seems as best as you can has been a little bit of a hiccup in the past few hours.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you mind if I investigate and take a closer look at your person?
I mean, I guess. Weird question, but.
And he'll stand up from the other end of the table, and he will, in a very swift gesture, kind of remove your cloak, and he'll kind of begin, looking at you, and he'll kind of pick up like your arm, and then he'll kind of move your tail around a little bit.
As he's doing this, I'm gonna start kind of, not really shrink. I'm gonna sort of shrink into myself, kind of get smaller.
Yeah,
if possible, but
fair enough. And kind of all around. And remind me, you have wings, right? Technically.
I mean, yes.
I say even if not fully formed or functional, but they are still physically wings, technically.
They are physically wings, and I think as a class they do develop fully, but right now
at this current point in time, yes.
They do not work at all for anything.
Then these wings will be of a bit of a particular interest to him, and you'll notice he'll kind of outstretch them and then kind of put them back in, and he'll kind of move them along, seeing, as they capture, wind kind of within them. And real quick, I just want you to roll me a perception check of the kind of areas surrounding you.
I got 13.
We'll say 13 is good enough. Although the scene around you is very different from the long outstretched table that you had originally found yourself at, you will notice that there is one decoration, would be a very crude way to put it, left over from the previous scene. And that is that of Ebthor's body, still on the ground next to you.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm curious, Paelryon, having noticed this now, how would you how would you perceive this? How would you would you react at all?
Well, if this is a new scene that I've definitely noticed, and this is my first time in this new scene noticing that our dear friend Ebthor's body is still on the ground right next to me, I'd probably maybe be a little bit shocked, but otherwise, you know,
Would you be trying to hide that like shocked expression at all?
maybe a tiny bit, but more so it's just like a deep remorse, or maybe not deep remorse, but remorse that he's not going to show too outwardly.
All right. I want you to roll me a deception check real quick.
All right. 15.
15. All right. All right. You will conceal it well enough to not be noticed.
Okay.
And he'll kind of continue moving various parts of your body, and he'll take also particular interest in tapping along your glass work scales. Tell me, did you create these yourself?
Yes, I used to have a talent for glass blowing, and well, since I became what I am now, I had some imperfections that I wish to smooth out myself with what I knew.
Is it purely cosmetic, or does it serve a more functional purpose?
It hides the bare skin that I have, but aside from that, I guess it's mostly cosmetic.
Yes, okay. Well, you are certainly an interesting one. With this, he'll kind of make his way over to the table, but along his way, he'll accidentally bump his foot into the body of Ebthor, and you'll see kind of a scowl appear across his face as he'll raise one hand and simply snap. And if you were to be looking at Ebthor's body, you would notice out from the darkness that's kind of surrounding you all a multitude of malnourished, clawing hands reach out from this darkness and kind of sink the nails into Ebthor's body as they drag it away out of where you can see.
Huh.
And
Okay.
the Archon will kind of dust off his pants lightly as the scowl kind of fades from his face, and he'll seat himself on the opposite side of the table. Now,
How did you do that
how did I do what?
with Ebthor's body? How did you just? It's gone now. How did you?
I had my employees take it away.
Hmm.
Speaking of employees, you have recently found yourself in my employment.
Yeah. Guess I didn't really have much of a choice, but I would say
You
so.
always have a choice, just not always good ones.
Fair. He's gonna. He's gonna try and I don't know if I don't know if there's really anywhere to sit, but I'm gonna kind of position myself opposite of him.
I said you would have a stool on the other side. He is sitting in a chair. You are sitting in a stool. And actually, as a question, because I say stool assuming something, but for Paelryon and his kind of physical nature, I would assume a stool would be the most comfortable for him, outside of like maybe a full-on couch. But in regards to like a chair with a solid back versus a stool, I would assume that a stool would be more physically comfortable.
Between those two, yeah, probably a stool.
Then you would have a stool and a somewhat large stool, but it's still a stool to sit upon, as he sits on the other side in a chair. Now, regarding your employment, there is a system in which we have that all of your, would you call them your friends?
Acquaintances.
That all of your acquaintances and yourself will find yourself serving as your end of our contracts. Now, this is a myriad of specially assigned tasks from us, but also just, well, kicking it up of your regular bounties. Now, you we chose very specifically, though, because we're curious. In addition to your regular employment, we also want you to document your condition, let's call it. He'll kind of just gesture to all of you. Now, tell me, have you since initially been inflicted or afflicted with this condition? have you found yourself changing in any large degree? Physically, spiritually, emotionally, cognitively?
As this archon is keeps referring to his body as a condition, Pelrion is going to start getting like maybe a little bit more noticeably like kind of nervous and shy, but he's going to say, "Well, I a long time ago I used to be a bit more human. Well, I was a human, and then well, I had a bad stroke of luck, and now after some very hard times, I became this."
Was it
And
slow, or did it happen all at once? And you'll see him kind of lean in.
it was slow and painful,
Over the course
but
of hours, weeks, years?
most of it was gone in a matter of days. But having been scarred by such, well, sometimes it took a lot longer for some parts to clean out, I guess.
And have you continued developing since then?
If I have, it's not something that I have paid much notice to.
And you'll see him kind of lean back for a second. And then his demeanor will kind of change a little bit from curious back to a bit more, matter of fact business perspective. And I'll go, well, in that case, do keep a close eye on your condition, as per the contract that you have signed and per our arrangements, it will include making sure to keep detailed accounts of any alterations in your current condition.
Okay.
Now, we operate on a bit of a fair trade deal. So tell me, we offered you continued living, continue access to the mortal plane, in exchange for employment. However, that is the same contract that we have given to all your associates, as you've called them. However, we are asking more of you than your associates, and as such, you are owed more. And now, tell me, what compensation do you think is fit for your additional help to the Archons?
Ooh. Oh, man, I do not know how I want to answer this question. I think if I wanted to go for a character approach, I think it would make sense to see, at this stage of my character, I think it would make sense if Pelrion wanted to, in some way or another, exact the revenge that against those who wronged him, starting with, I don't, were they orcs? I don't remember. They were orcs. Starting with the orcs, I think Pelrion would want to exact revenge against those guys. Now, I don't know how the Archon would fulfill that, or if he can, but if that is possible, then I think that would probably be my step one.
And how would you go about asking for that?
Before I became what creature I am today, my old home, it was attacked by a band of orcs. They captured us, burned our house to the ground, sold us as slaves. And in this moment, nothing would. There is something deep within me that wants to exact an amount of revenge against this band of orcs. If this is something that you can do for me, then I will call it a fair deal.
You'll see him kind of lean back in his chair for a second and then lean forward. I'll tell you what. What we ask of you is information and updates on any developments on your condition. What we'll give to you in return is information on these orcs that you wish. A bit of a secret for secret trade. Does that sit well with you?
Sure.
And you'll see him kind of outstretch his hand across the table. Then we have a deal.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to take one of my front clawed arms and kind of exchange the handshake back.
And as you do, the spotlight that's above you kind of flickers from being green and it goes in a routine pattern: orange, green, pink, purple, blue, orange, green, pink, purple, blue, all up until the moment, repeating those colors till he releases your hand from the handshake.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, on to regular employment matters. See, we run a large enterprise here, and although we do have particular interest in what you are, who you are outside of that is of less direct interest to us. You are no different from many of the other employees when it comes to that regard, and as such, we don't have time to deal with all of the employees. So instead, there's a man I will have you meet. He will serve as your handler for you and all of your associates. They should be shortly on their way to him now, but you, well, we can fast track there. Do treat him with respect. He is your superior. And in that moment, the green spotlight above you turns off, and you're left in this weird state of non-existence for a sec. As I'll remind you, you weren't technically reattached to your mortal body yet. And in a weird way, you had a semblance of it, but it wasn't there. And without the spotlight above you, it is even more detached. But slowly, you feel weight, you feel the air around you, and then you hear noise. Sounds of people talking, glasses clinking, boots shuffling. You hear the sound of a grindstone in the background, and then your vision fades in. And you'll find yourself feeling a mite bit better than the last time you were in your physical body, as you are fully rejuvenated from your near death or full death encounter, depending on your perspective. You find yourself in what appears to be some form of a guild hall, or at least that's what it would be somewhat recognizable to you as such. However, it's not any form of a guild hall that you have seen before. You've never been to this location, that you can be certain of.
Do I have my big fat robe?
Yes.
Okay. Is it on my person, or is it already on my body, or do I have to like?
It is already draped upon you.
Okay, cool.
So with this scene before you, what exactly would you be doing?
I want to take a quick look around the guild hall, because I mean, obviously it sounds like they're doing a lot of work, but I want to see maybe what type of work they're doing, or if there's like a particular trade that they are investing in.
Roll me a perception check.
That is a 10.
With the 10, you'd be able to see that there is a vast amount of things going on here. I mean, there's the standard like kind of ale and tavern stuff going on. There are people having full-on meals, people working at like a bar. There's what seems to be like a bounty board kind of in that area, but there's also like a blacksmith shop. It seems like they're currently sharpening a sword right now on like a grindstone, and there's even like a dock that's leading out to some body of water, though it's hard to tell as it seems to go down a long tunnel farther than you can see with no real connection. But there are people loading crates kind of on and off some small to medium sized ships.
Okay. I don't think the Archon gave me much other much other direction other than to find a guy.
More specifically, a guy who will function as your handler.
Yes. I'm going to be honest, I really don't know what direction to go in to even try and find that.
Then just pick one.
Yeah, let's just start. Is the guild hall like an actual hall? Like, I don't know if there's... obviously, it would be big, but...
Yeah, you're in a very large underground area, or otherwise building, but it definitely seems to be underground with the fact that, it is a tunnel with a body of water connecting to it. And so, but it's very large, very enclosed, stone ceilings, stone floors, stone walls, and it outstretches with an ample amount of room basically in all directions. You could probably spend over 5 minutes walking just from one wall to the other.
Okay. I'm just gonna go forward in the hall. I don't know which direction that would be, but I will just pick it, you know.
Yeah, we'll say forward is away from the docks. As at the
Okay.
very least, you know the docks are a firm end. You're probably not going much past the water.
Sure, I'll go that way.
And kind of going that way, you'll kind of bump into a myriad of other kind of trades and wares. You're kind of seeing that there's all sorts of people and all sorts of even races, and not just you're used to standard gnomes and dragonborns and half orcs, and maybe you even see some, like, you might see like a Goliath or like a satyr or something every once in a while, but you see even stranger ones. You see genasies of various elements, rabbit folk. You even see a few Githyankies around. And these are
Oh.
people you would not generally see, certainly not all gathered together, but very rarely even outside of kind of general settlements that you would be used to seeing them in. They would be large groups that you would not have been welcomed into. So some of these races you would have only really read about or maybe seen paintings of.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of continuing along, you'll notice that the maybe more familiar area to you would end up being this, or maybe not necessarily familiar, but you'll notice that it's at least kind of somewhat drawing to you and your nature, as you've walked past a kind of a variety of shops, but there seems to be one shop that is more focused on imbuing arcane enchantments and other attributes into various pieces of clothing, weapons, even just mundane objects being imbued for various purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Walking upon them, you'll notice that although this area definitely is very powerful in its kind of magical aura, there is a variety of magic basically all around you. And actually, I'm kind of curious, how attuned are you in terms of kind of perceiving magic?
I will here. Previously, I didn't really delve into magic at all, and even in my, new dragon form, it would be a minimal amount. But and I think it's in I my feature of devour magic. I can of course, effectively consume it. So that is something that, like, I will let you make that call. My character may have not had, a lot of personal experience with magic, but as a dragon who can, I guess, somehow innately consume it, that is something I will let you and try and figure out.
We'll say that you are kind of, to some degree, innately aware that there is magic kind of around you. However, it wouldn't be as skilled or as tuned at, for example, like if you actually cast detect magic, like, because with detect magic you can
Yeah,
actually see like an aura around an object of magic. You don't have even half that kind of detection
yeah,
or like specification of it.
I think that is fair. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So you would definitely feel like a stronger magic presence in all of this, but you can generally feel kind of at the very least a low kind of buzz or hum all around you. Were you to be maybe like more proficient, it could almost be overwhelming just with how much kind of input you're receiving. But because it's such a low kind of drum to use, you're not really able to identify most of it.
Mhm.
It's manageable and kind of tolerable.
Okay.
And as you're kind of walking along past the shop, you will notice that there is what seems to be, to call it a front desk would be a little generous, as it's not actually at the front of anything, but there does seem to be almost a kiosk kind of in the center, whereas most of the, not necessarily shops, but I guess stations would be more appropriately naming them. Most of the stations are affixed to the wall, kind of, leave a center walking path. There is kind of a station in the center of what would be the standard walking path, in kind of what is to some degree an intersection leading out to a couple different ways. And this, whereas most things it's been generally easy to tell, if you look at it, you can quite easily tell that, like a shop that is working with textiles is going to be doing something in that kind of nature. The shop that has an anvil and is working on a sword with a grindstone is probably going to be the blacksmith. People hauling around fish are going to be pretty obvious. This does not have any specific like trade or whatever associated with it.
Can I look around to see if it has anything that because if it's got a kiosk in the center, I'm assuming that maybe it is some form of, I guess, shop. So is there like, I guess, any wares?
There aren't any wares, but there are a couple of different people you'll see working on it, all in kind of similar outfits. You'll see what appears to be like a gnome, and you can kind of tell just based off of his height that there's likely some form of like a stepping stool below him. There is a fairy fluttering around. There is a kobold working the shop.
Okay.
Or working the stand as it is. It says there's no actual wares, it seems.
So there are people working at the station, but it doesn't seem to be of any sort of trade. Maybe I missed it. Does the thing you're working on, like, would it be comparable to any specific type of trade?
No, they're mostly just standing at countertops. They're not particularly working on or at anything.
Huh. I guess I will walk up to one of the people at the stands.
And whomst would you walk up to?
I'll show the kobold.
All right.
He seems like a nice guy.
Walking up to the kobold, he'll kind of greet you with as much as a kobold mouth can really smile, and he'll kind of like tilt his head a little bit to the side and be like, "Hello.
Hi. What are you doing at this station here?"
This is an information kiosk. We are here to assist with any of the things you might need help with."
How do I formulate the question that I'm trying to look for? This is going to be a weird question, but I'm trying to look for a guy. Don't really know what he looks like. Also don't really know who he is, but he's supposed to be like a handler to me. Like,
oh, you're looking for your handler?
Yes.
Name and number, please.
Name would be Paelryon.
And you'll see him kind of opening up a little like filing cabinet below him. And number?
Oh, I experienced this today when I had to go to the forget password because I couldn't remember what it was. I don't know if I have a password.
Roll a
password,
history check.
Number. Roll a history check. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember. I got a 3.
Okay. Yeah. No, as far as you're aware, you've never been assigned any number. And he'll kind of just look up to you expectantly, like one finger holding a place in between a couple of files.
Mm-hmm.
It'll blink a couple times.
Yeah. I do not remember my number. I don't know if that. I don't know if there's a place where I can.
You'll see his head kind of just droop down, and he's in bed, and he goes, "Oh, okay. Please take seat. This will be a little while." And you'll see him, what was outstretched maybe like about a foot out of the filing cabinet, you'll see him kind of just like extend it, and he'll like have to like rack his arms like multiple times just to get it to keep going out to like what is 15 feet worth of filing cabinet now.
Is it like one of those like infinite like...
It definitely shouldn't fit. The amount of filing cabinet that came out, it was not a 15-foot wide desk. Space. Yeah, it was not a 15-foot wide.
Okay.
That's fine. There. And this is a particular struggle for him. When he is on the ground, the filing cabinet is actually above, like, to be able to see the files and the names on them, they're actually above his eye level.
Even in his little seat, or
if he is in his little seat, he can climb on top and look down on them. However, his little seat does not have any wheels. So every couple of inches, he has to pick up his seat, move it, and then climb back up and search through his file.
This is cool. All right. Yeah.
What is probably, you know what? Roll me a straight D20. We're gonna see how lucky you are versus how
is a higher roll gonna be a worse thing for me?
It's just a D20.
I got a 4.
So he'll probably be at that for a good 45 plus minutes, ranging on just shy of an hour of him sifting through a couple files, climbing down his stool, picking up his stool, moving a little bit, climbing up his stool, sifting through files, climbing back down, and repeating this process over and over
How many
again.
Paelryons are there?
And finally, after just shy of an hour, he'll have a file and he'll go and you'll see him kind of shaking it up above his head and kind of gesturing and waving over towards you.
Am I able to go over to him, or am I still have to be behind the desk?
Well, yeah, you'll still have to be behind the desk, but he's just like waving at you, and you'll see him kind of double tap on the side of the filing cabinet as it starts kind of flying back in, and right before it reaches the point where it would fully close on him, he kind of jumps off and he lands on the countertop, and he'll kind of slap the file and goes, Paelryon, and this is your file. Your handler is Lamruli. You'll want to whack, and he'll kind of look around, and you'll see him in order to look around, you'll have to fundamentally turn fully 90 degrees to the left and fully 90 degrees to the right. And where you're at right now is the center of a 5-way intersection, and he'll point off towards one of the ways. And he goes, hey, walk down that way and in. And he'll kind of peer over the counter and he'll kind of measure his leg for a second, and then he'll kind of peer down on the counter and he'll go, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, walk down that way. Then on left will be a door in the wall, and there you will find your handler. Will that be all today?
One more very quick question. Does this file have my number in it?
Oh yes, and he'll kind of look at him and go, number is 6.
No man. I really thought there was gonna be more to that. I'm so mad. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Anyways, all right. So I'm gonna go down the direction he said. It was
roll me a quick perception check.
I roll a 6. Let's go.
Okay, so you'll not notice this, which makes it potentially even funnier from my perspective. And you know what? Actually, for the audience sake, you as a player will know this, you as a character will not. Paelryon turns and walks away. However, what he doesn't notice, what he's walking away from, is a little kobold with his hands outstretched, kind of in a cupping motion, with a little head tilted sideways. And then he realizes about 20 seconds after you walk past, he kind of droops his head down and uncups his hands and puts them at his side. And he sighs, and then he has to jump down off the counter.
Oh, was I supposed to tip him? Oh no, now I feel bad.
Good.
All right, well, you know what? Well, let's run it.
Now, how good is Paelryon at remembering details, would you say?
He's got a +2 in wisdom and a +0 in intelligence. Because intelligence is kind of more the remembering one, I would say it's a maybe at or a little below average.
All right. So, in terms of remembering the exact amount of time that he told you to walk, how good do you think he'd be for that?
I would assume he'd play at least a little bit of attention, so I would assume it'd probably be a tiny bit better.
Your character will remember it is 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
3 minutes and 23 seconds, and then it's isn't it a door on the left or something?
Yes, a door on the left on the wall. And
Cool.
you will find it with minimal complications. And actually, if you were timing it and your ability to count and perceive seconds routinely enough and correctly enough, if you were to be able to time it, it would be exactly 3 minutes and 23 seconds of walking, provided you're not getting stopped or provided you weren't stopped or hit by traffic or anything like that. And on the left, you will see a somewhat ornate door of dark oak wood with a metal symbol on it of a square inside of a triangle inside of a circle.
This is the door that I have been asked to go to, and this is where my handler is. I will go up to the door and I guess open it.
And entering the door, you'll see a man. Allow me to describe him for you a little bit. It is an elf with silvery gray skin, white hair, and blue eyes. He wears
Mm.
we'll say a nice vest, like a standard vest, but with a very elegant and formal dark blue overcoat that stretches down to just about like halfway down his calves, and it is patterned with black embroidery of many different polygons, more specifically squares, circles, and triangles.
Uh-huh.
Welcome in. And kind of a gesture to a couch across the room, whereas he is sitting in a very lavish bed.
Okay, I will situate myself onto the couch.
So you are the new employee.
Yes.
Don't you usually come in larger batches? I was told I was going to have quite a few new recruits.
Well, it seems I got brought here a little bit early than my other colleagues.
Well, no matter. Can I get you anything? Water, tea, wine? Tell me, what's your poison?
I feel like Paelryon is a tea type of guy.
And you'll see him gesture over to a counter with tea bags and water and a pot and cup as he continues laying upon his bed.
All right, I see. I will I guess walk over to the counter and start making me a little bit of tea.
Let me explain. How much of the details of your employment have you been filled in?
How many details? Oh, this was when we read the contract. I actually don't remember what it said.
I see. Your character rolled well enough when trying to understand the contract that
I got the gist of it.
Some extra knowledge. And from what you remember with the contract, it seemed intentionally vague.
Yes, that's right.
And that it that entailed basically, your services at any time, any point or whatever, basically, your entire existence being owned for the duration of the contract. Savior from death is a one-time non-renewable, and a couple other things. But in terms of actual specifics of any individual pieces, it was loose at best.
Mm-hmm. Well, I read over the contract, and from how I understand it, and maybe it's a little different, but I was given a second chance at life in exchange for being an employee to the Archon.
Oh, now you have a full life-bearing contract. Well, I pity your poor soul. Could have gotten much more out of it than that. Still, I suppose there are worse things. You know the hierarchy of the AED?
I do not know the hierarchy of the AED.
Let me put it simply for you, and I'll kind of lean forward, kind of off his bed. At the very bottom, you have yourselves, the runners. You are the people who do the more mundane tasks. You have a cat lost in the woods, an infestation of rats, the various contracts you'd find at your run-of-the-mill tavern in any small or large town and city. You do these contracts as per the normal arrangement, or as per whatever arrangement you set with them. And a portion of that earnings is kicked up to me, your handler. Now, you serve me in this direct instance and format, where a portion of what you get gets up to me. Now, I manage an amount of people. In this case, it would be you and any of your comrades that you'll be introducing to me later. Above me, there are the managers. Now, the managers manage multiple handlers, and a portion of what I make from all of you is kicked up to the managers. The managers have the lords above them, and above the lords, the monarchs, and above us all is the archons of eternal darkness. Serve well, and bide your time. Provide services worthy of improving your station, and you'll find yourself in a higher spot. You may find yourself handling your own set of runners one day, or even above that. Fail to uphold your end of the bargain, and there will be consequences. Now, that is also part of my job as a handler, is ensuring that you all come through on your end of the deal. Should you not, for any particular reason, it is within my obligation to dole out appropriate responses as I see fit. The managers do the same for me. Now, there's only so many lapses in your end of the deal as you can make. Too many, and the higher-ups will get involved. And believe me, you do not want the higher-ups involved. Outside of this, there is, on occasion, and an exceedingly rare occasion for the majority, but on occasion you may be tasked specifically from the Archons themselves. See, as it functions down here, it's more of a come report in sort of deal, or I'll send a message for you, or someone will send a message from me, and as such, dripping down the chain. The Archons do not send a message. Should they require your services, they simply will acquire them. And a strong word of advice, as much as you do not wish to have a lapse in your end of the deal for us regular handlers and the rest of the employees, you do not want to lapse in a contract with the Archons.
Understood.
Enjoying a tea?
Yeah, it's really good.
I see him kind of ring a bell as coming from kind of behind the curtains, a butler of some sorts, just a tiefling butler, will kind of come out with a glass of tea for him as well to kind of sip from, and he'll also kind of start drinking. Now, to conclude our arrangement, we'll say, there are 2 sets of markings that you may get. One is optional, and you can get the Archon's mark, a simple tattoo magically imbued into your skin. Your non-optional mark is my mark, a symbol of which I think you saw on the door coming in.
Yes.
Now, for as long as I remain your handler, that mark will let anyone know in the company, we'll say. It'll let anybody know within the AED that you kick up to me, and it'll make it a little bit easier for you to get around in certain places. I will have my assistant here apply one or both of the marks as you're seeing fit. Tell me, do you want the mark of the Archons?
Is it possible for me to get one later, or?
Absolutely, at any time.
I will just start with your mark.
Very well, then. Thomas, be a dear. And
Thomas the Tiefling.
and he'll kind of reach out from inside of his waistcoat and pull out a book and a quill, and he'll kind of come over to you and be like, outstretch your arm.
Put one of my arms out.
And the question of this arm, how much bear skin would there be?
So the amount of bear skin that I would have is not a lot, like, already. And most of those that are covered up in the glasswork that I had done. So there's probably a good amount of actual scale.
Okay.
Is he trying to apply it to actual skin? Is that what's happening?
Yes, in this, you'll kind of see him searching around, and he'll kind of be measuring out with his fingers a little bit, trying to see if he can't find a spot that is easy enough to apply. Would you say there's anywhere that is a like 2-inch by 2-inch square scales? I'm understanding from your description the answer would be likely no.
Actually, there probably would be in a couple spots. They might be covered by glasswork, but it is something that, like, if I need to, I might be able to take that off, and then
would you
apply it as such.
choose and willingly take that off as you're noticing him looking for a spot?
You know what? Just for this sake, I will. Sure.
Okay. Then in that case, kind of removing, and is that a painful process for you? Like how well attached are those glass scales?
That is a question that I have never answered, and I also could not tell you.
I'm gonna say that is probably, I mean, if they are firmly attached, like you are able to walk around and do combat without losing those glass scales, just removing, then I'd say that they're probably attached well enough that they hurt. Maybe not quite as much as pulling your actual scales, but they definitely hurt a damn fine amount. So this is going to be a non-pleasant process for you. I'm going to imagine taking probably somewhere in the ballpark of like 30 minutes. And I'll not have you take any damage, as damage you would take would be probably healed up over the course of a long rest before you do anything else. But it definitely would be very painful for you. And roll me an insight check.
I got a 19 just right off rip.
And then you'll kind of notice as you're kind of wincing and peeling off these scales, Lamruli is fixated himself in a position whereas he was kind of prior to this maybe a little less actually focused on you and he was more just kind of enjoying himself. He has taken kind of positioning himself to be watching you more intently as you're doing this, seemingly still enjoying himself, but in a different sense of the term.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
And as you kind of finish this out, the butler will take from the book, he'll kind of open to the page where you'll see the symbol in the book, and he'll dip the quill, and the quill will actually pass into the page itself. And you'll see, with a little bit of force, he'll kind of drag out, and you'll notice like magic kind of dripping off of the quill as he will then pierce it into your flesh. Not super deep, but still enough to be a decent prick. As spilling outwards from the pen is the sigil from the door of this square inside of a triangle inside of a circle.
Now, can I cover the tattoo up?
With like your scales again, or with like just a cloak?
Either. I guess more importantly, can I cover it up with the glass scales? Or
with the glass scales, you at this point in time, like immediately, no, but
no.
That's on the purpose of you would find it difficult to place scales back on after having immediately torn them off.
Yeah.
In the future, maybe. I said there doesn't seem to be anything directly hindering your covering up of it. However, covering up of it also entails its own benefits and drawbacks simply on the nature of it.
That is fair. Okay. That's just something I wanted to know.
Yeah. With that, he'll kind of notice you being successfully marked now, and he'll smile and go, well, I suppose it's time we do proper introductions. The name is Lamruli. I will be your hand. Dear runner, who are you?
My name is Paelryon, and yeah, I am a runner.
Well, Paelryon, it seems your acquaintances will be joining us shortly. And I'll smile. And with that, that's where we will end today's session.
That's where we end it. All right, cool.
Indeed.
Fun. Definitely interesting. I'm very curious as to where this is going to go, because it doesn't... I have a feeling, just from the name alone, that this place is probably not good, but outside of a few rare instances, I haven't seen anything like outwardly evil. So I'm very curious as to where this is going to go.
Curious indeed. But I will have to wait for future sessions and future episodes, as this will conclude this one. Thank you all for joining us in this bonus episode that you all get with the additional higher tiers. New episodes every week in intermittent circumstances where we get the opportunity to do some of these other episodes where it's more one-on-one sessions. These ones are very fun for me as a DM, and so I hope you all have been enjoying them. Well, with that, we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.